I'm sitting at the top of my corner office, sunlight spilling across my polished oak desk, fingers resting on the smooth leather of my chair. My laptop hums quietly, a subtle reminder that I'm officially the CEO of a company most people only dream about building. $288 million in assets, hundreds of employees. Yet somehow my brother's words from yesterday still echo in my head. You're just a useless dropout. I glance down at my phone. A new message from him. Probably another jab disguised as concern. My silk blouse brushes against my wrist as I pick it up, reading the text with a calm, I don't feel. Pride swells in me, but beneath it is that familiar twinge of hurt. The same hurt I've learned to bury under meetings, board calls, and press releases. I catch a glimpse of the city skyline through the floor-to-ceiling window. Everything I see out there, the skyscrapers, the bustling streets, is a reflection of the life I carved from nothing. Yet here I am, feeling the sting of a single word from someone who should have been my biggest cheerleader. The phone buzzes again. I take a deep breath, pressing call. It's time to confront the past. I steel myself, feeling the smooth edges of my desk under my fingertips, and whisper to no one but myself, let's see how useless I really am. I remember the day clearly, 17, standing in the middle of our cramped kitchen, my hands trembling, my heart pounding like a drum. My brother, Jason, was leaning against the counter, arms crossed, eyes sharp. Maddie, you're wasting your time, he said, voice thick with judgment. Everyone else is moving forward, and you're just a dropout. The words hit me like a fist to the chest. My throat tightened. I could barely swallow. I wanted to scream, to tell him that I wasn't worthless, that I had ideas, dreams, a spark he'd never see. But instead, I felt tears burn behind my eyes. I looked down at the small wooden pendant my grandmother had given me on my 16th birthday, a simple charm with the engraving, "Courage is built, not given." She had always believed in me when no one else did, especially Jason. That pendant had been my secret talisman through lonely nights of self-doubt, reminding me that worth wasn't measured by grades, diplomas, or anyone's approval. Don't you get it? I whispered, voice shaking. I don't need your approval. I just need a chance. Jason scoffed, turning away. My mother stood silently, hands wringing a dish towel, torn between siding with him and saying nothing. The rejection burned worse than I could have imagined. It wasn't just words, it was a verdict on my very existence in that house, in that family. That night, I packed a small duffel bag with essentials, slipped the pendant around my neck, and wrote a note that I'd never intended to leave lying around. I'm not running away. I'm running towards something bigger than this. For the first time, I felt a strange mix of fear and exhilaration. I didn't know exactly where I was going or how I'd survive. All I knew was that I had to prove to myself, not Jason, that I was capable of more. That night marked the first real step of my journey, a choice to build my own life from scratch, to forge my own definition of success, and to never, ever let anyone else's narrow view of me dictate my path. Leaving home wasn't glamorous. My first apartment was a tiny studio above a noisy laundromat, with cracked tiles and a leaky faucet. I remember setting my grandmother's pendant on the windowsill, letting the afternoon light catch its edges, a silent promise that I wasn't giving up. My laptop, a second-hand relic I'd saved for months to buy, became my portal to possibility. I threw myself into learning everything I could about technology and business. Nights blurred into mornings as I watched tutorial after tutorial, drafted code, sketched apps on scraps of paper, and pitched my ideas to anyone who would listen. Rejection was constant. Investors told me I was too young, too inexperienced, too female in a male-dominated industry. But I refused to crumble. Each no only sharpened my determination. Then came Elena Vargas, a seasoned software engineer with a reputation for spotting raw talent. She agreed to mentor me after seeing one of my early prototypes. Elena's confidence was contagious, her guidance precise but nurturing. She taught me how to negotiate, how to scale an idea, how to pitch with authority, lessons Jason never imagined I'd learn. My first big breakthrough came unexpectedly. A small startup needed a custom software solution, and I managed to deliver it flawlessly. The client's praise felt like a whisper of vindication, but I didn't celebrate loudly. Not yet. Every step forward was quiet, careful. I had to keep my family in the dark. I wasn't ready for them to witness my ascent. The next months were relentless. I balanced freelance work, late-night coding marathons, and endless networking. My apartment walls were plastered with sticky notes, scribbled formulas, and sketches of apps that I believed could change industries. I failed more times than I can count. Servers crashed, clients walked away, my savings dwindled, but the fire never died. Then came my first profitable product, a software platform that helped small businesses streamline operations. It wasn't a billion-dollar deal yet, but it was mine. That victory, quiet as it was, planted the seed of something bigger. Slowly, deliberately, I built the foundation of what would become a $288 million tech empire, all without anyone outside my closest circle knowing. I posted generic updates on social media, vague mentions of projects, modest celebrations of small milestones. If Jason checked, he would see nothing impressive. That was the point. The world I was building, my success, my independence, was mine alone. Every dollar, every contract, every hard-won client was proof not just of my ability, but of my resilience, of the woman I was becoming in secret while the world assumed I was still lost. The apartment that once felt cramped and lonely became a command center for my ambition. Every morning, I touched the pendant on my windowsill and whispered a promise. I will rise. And when I do, they will see. The day they arrived, I made sure everything was in place. My office, more than just a room, was a testament to every sleepless night, every hard decision, every quiet victory. Floor-to-ceiling windows framed the city skyline, the golden afternoon sun bouncing off sleek, modern furniture. On the walls, curated art pieces whispered sophistication and subtle triumph, while my grandmother's pendant sat on a small shelf beside my awards, a quiet reminder of where it all began. Jason, my brother, stood frozen in the doorway, jaw tight, eyes darting around like he had walked into someone else's world. My parents followed, their expressions a mix of polite curiosity and thinly veiled skepticism. I let them take it in. Let them see the transformation without me saying a word. Every second of silence stretched like a taut wire. Finally, I spoke, my voice calm, deliberate, laced with the authority I had earned. Welcome to my office. Jason's brow furrowed. Maddie, this isn't... what is all this? I smiled faintly, letting the word, all this hang between us. All this, I repeated, is the result of every choice I made after you told me I was a useless dropout. I walked to my desk, resting a hand on the smooth oak, and gestured to the monitors displaying real-time data, revenue streams, growth projections, client networks. I started with nothing. No investors, no trust, no backup plan. Just a laptop, a dream, and a refusal to quit. My parents looked at each other, unsure whether to be proud or shocked. Jason's lips parted, but no words came. I took a step closer, feeling the shift in the room. Today, I lead a tech company valued at $288 million. I am the CEO, majority owner, and decision-maker of this empire. Every contract, every client, every success you thought I would never achieve, I made it happen. Their faces told the story, disbelief, shame, and the realization that they had misjudged me. Jason's fists clenched at his sides. My mother's eyes glistened, a tear threatening to fall. My father's jaw tightened, and for a moment, the air itself felt charged with the weight of my words. I let them linger in the moment, giving them time to absorb it. Then I placed my grandmother's pendant in Jason's hand, the same one that had accompanied me through the darkest nights of my youth. This is what kept me going when you doubted me. I hope it reminds you that success isn't given, it's built. Jason's hands shook. He looked down at the pendant, then back at me. Maddie. I didn't know. I know, I said gently, though my voice carried steel beneath the warmth. And that's why I kept it hidden. Not out of spite, but to prove to myself, and to you, that I could do this on my own. For a long moment, silence filled the room again, but it was different now. It wasn't just the hush of awe, it was the sound of power having shifted, of recognition finally dawning. And in that silence, I realized something else. I wasn't just confronting them. I was confronting the younger me. The girl who packed her bag in secret, the girl who feared she wasn't enough. And now, standing here, I knew she would be proud. The room felt different after the reveal, charged, tense, but also lighter, as if acknowledging the truth had lifted a weight we'd all been carrying. I could see the relief and shame in my parents' eyes, and the mixture of guilt and awe in Jason's. But this wasn't just about shocking them, it was about setting the stage for real change. I took a deep breath, letting the authority I had earned settle in my chest. "I'm willing to help," I said, my voice steady, "but things will only work if we do this differently than before." Jason swallowed hard, his pride battling with the tremor in his voice. "Differently how?" I gestured to the pendant on his palm, a symbol of resilience. "First, accountability. No more dismissing people before you see their effort. You'll volunteer with one of my startup mentorship programs. Learn what it takes to build, not just judge." He flinched, but I could see the spark of recognition that maybe he needed this lesson. Turning to my parents, I continued, "Mom, Dad, you've always wanted to support me, but fear and doubt held you back. If you want to be part of my life, truly part, you'll take time to understand the world I've built. Attend board meetings with me, watch me work, and let's have honest conversations about your expectations." My tone softened slightly. "This isn't punishment. It's a chance for growth, for trust, for mending what was broken." Jason's shoulders tightened, but I wasn't done. "Second, self-improvement is non-negotiable. Each of you will identify one habit or fear that's held you back and actively work on changing it. I'll guide you if needed, but the commitment has to come from you." I paused, letting the weight of my words sink in. Compassion doesn't mean enabling old patterns. I care about you, but I will not bend to the past. I will not let anyone undermine my path or their own potential. The silence was profound, but I could see them processing. Jason looked down at the pendant again, as if it carried all the lessons I couldn't put into words. My mother dabbed at her eyes, a hesitant smile forming, and even my father's rigid posture softened just a fraction. Finally, I added, "You're free to be part of my world, but only if you are willing to step up. No excuses. Growth is uncomfortable. Success is uncomfortable. But we all have the capacity for it if we choose to embrace it." I stepped back, letting the room breathe. My presence wasn't just dominance. It was a combination of authority and grace, earned through blood, sweat, and unwavering belief in myself. This wasn't revenge. It was a recalibration of respect, of power, and of love that no longer tolerated toxicity. And in that moment, I felt it. The power wasn't just in the office, the contracts, or the millions. The real power was in knowing I could create boundaries, demand respect, and still extend care, all without sacrificing myself. Weeks passed after that day, and slowly, subtly, the changes began. Jason arrived at the mentorship program with a nervous energy that soon transformed into genuine engagement. I watched him guide a young intern through coding challenges, realizing he was learning patience and humility, lessons he had never embraced before. My parents joined me in meetings, observing quietly at first, then asking thoughtful questions, offering support without overstepping. The fear that had once kept them distant began to fade, replaced by a tentative respect for the woman I had become. And I watched myself too. I saw the girl who had packed her duffel bag in secret, trembling with uncertainty, now standing tall in the middle of my empire. I touched the pendant on my shelf, its engraving glowing faintly in the evening light. Courage is built, not given. Every step, every struggle, every sleepless night had led to this moment of quiet triumph. I realized that real victory wasn't just in financial success or boardroom power. It was in forging authentic relationships, in teaching those who doubted me how to grow, in reclaiming my own worth and dignity. And the sweetest part? I no longer needed validation from anyone. The reflection in my own eyes was enough. One evening, as I stood by the office window overlooking the city lights, my phone buzzed with a message from Jason. Simple words. "I'm proud of you." And "I'm sorry." I smiled, feeling the warmth of forgiveness, both given and received. I leaned back in my chair, taking a deep breath, savoring the quiet hum of my empire. The journey had been long, painful, and often lonely, but it had made me the woman I was meant to be, resilient, compassionate, and unshakably strong. And as I held the pendant one last time before setting it back on the shelf, I whispered to no one but myself, my voice steady, clear, and calm. I may have started with nothing, but I built everything. And now, I answer to no one but the woman I've become. The city sparkled below, indifferent yet breathtaking, as if acknowledging that some victories are more than money, more than recognition. They are the reclamation of self, the proof that resilience can turn a dropout into a queen of her own empire.